And a good afternoon, folks. I apologize for this mess we got going, but for some reason it's like my StreamYard account has completely started over, so it's just a mess. But it's good to see y'all. Hopefully, everybody comes in. Hopefully, you guys will see that. Um, Let me share this out. We can let some folks know we're in here. Welcome in, Mr. Rogers. Good to see you. Appreciate it. Welcome in. I'm going to share this out so a few folks can see that we're live. And there we go. Let's see. Sorry about that. There we go. For some reason, when I set up my other one, I usually set it up with my phone and then just come on here, but for some reason, it just did not work this time. And when I got in StreamYard, I had to reset up everything. So that's why it took so long. But either way, thank y'all for coming in. Pretty neat little episode tonight. Getting into some number omens and get into a spooky tale with something called a knot deer, which I've never even really heard of before. So let's see. Welcome in, Jackie. It's good to see you. Thank you so much. Welcome to you. Appreciate that. I got something neat to show you guys that I handmade. I'll show that here in a little while. But hopefully everyone's had a really good week so far. It's been super tiring for me between work and gardening and the heat and doctor's office for 2 days. I'm pretty beat, but that's just how it is. So, video that went out yesterday, you guys got to pick okra with me, and we talked a little bit about saving seeds. And if you guys watch that video, just to the right of my okra is the corn. Well, that corn is now gone. Yesterday I got out and loaded up Dad's little old lawnmower trailer, and I got out there and pulled all the corn stalks up. I threw it on the burn pile, and this morning or this afternoon I tilled about half of where that was at. Got it tilled good. I just it was so hot, and I had to take Autumn to the doctor yesterday to get some of her medicines refilled, and some of the folks there was like, "Hey, you got any extra okra? We'd like to have some." So we got to take them some today, and so I tilled up half that little corn patch and took them some okra, and then come home and had enough time to set all this up for you guys. So, pretty neat episode coming up. Like I said, if y'all saw last week, I guess I made a post about I made some homemade butter just using a little glass old Bama jelly jar, some salt, and some heavy whipping cream in a quart jar. Made that. It was really good. I liked it so much I'm gonna start making my own. But I started looking around for like butter molds. There's the round ones that they've had, the really old ones that you press down and it makes like a disc of butter. That's not really what I wanted. I wanted more like a stick, so you could cut it. And welcome in, Flies on the Coleslaw. Good to see you. Appreciate it. Welcome, welcome, welcome. But I wanted some butter that I could slice pieces off so I could put it on biscuits and put it on anything, toast, waffles, whatever. So I got to looking for butter molds, and man, those things $10, $15, $20. Not to mention you have to pay to have them shipped. So I got to looking, back in the 1800s, they were made out of wood. So I'm like, well, I got spare wood laying around, and maybe I can make something. So I made this out of two pieces of just random wood. Made a little butter mold, and this should be about what you get out of 1 pint of heavy cream. So it'll make about a stick of butter. So I figured, what the heck? Instead of buying something, I made something. Took not much time. I routed the edges and sanded it all smooth, and just like I said, this handmade. This will last forever. I'll keep it in the refrigerator. Uh, when I make my butter, I'll probably cut me a little bitty piece of parchment paper to put in the bottom. Probably just take some coconut oil and just rub around the edge. Press my butter in there, put it in the fridge, and then take it out. And I wouldn't mind buying a butter dish. The old little rectangular butter dishes. So I have a mold. I buy myself a butter dish where I can just slice it off. So that's neat. This some more of our old history coming back. Of course, people used to do it on a much bigger scale using a churn, and I don't need that much, so I just use a quart jar and pour a pint of heavy whipping cream and just shake it for 25-30 minutes, and then take the milk off of it, put it aside to make biscuits with, and take the butter and fold in the salt to get all that water out, press it in my mold. We'll be using it. And it's not expensive. I think it's like $1.78 for a little pint. I mean, you can't go to the Amish place and get a stick of butter for that. So, and it tastes just like fresh homemade butter because it literally is. So, and something else super exciting to me, a friend of mine brought me a quart of fresh milk, right? Like literally from the cow. They come from the Amish. They milk the cow, put it in a bucket, and it was just given as a gift because legally you can't sell milk without pasteurizing it. So it was a gift, just in a little quart jar, and brought it, and it was so good. I even let my daughter try it. She's never tried it, and there's nothing like some good fresh milk. So it's really, really good. Might even see if I can't get a gallon of it and use the cream from that and make some butter, but who knows? We'll see. Either way, that was pretty neat. I thought I'd just show you all this. This made my day to have something like this. This is something that I could pass down to my kid. It'll last forever, hopefully. But anyway, thank you guys for coming in. I'm gonna jump off of this screen here like that, and we'll dig in to our topic, the first topic, and that's the number omens of Appalachian culture. So let's see what we got here. It says in Appalachia, in Appalachian numerology folklore, certain numbers are believed to carry specific meanings and significance. These interpretations often draw from a combination of cultural, religious, and mystical influences. The number 3 meaning is unity, harmony, and completion. The significance. The number 3 is often associated with completeness and harmony. In Christian traditions, it represents the Holy Trinity, as we all know. The number 4. The meaning is stability and foundation. The significance. The number 4 is often associated with stability and a solid foundation. Its interpretation is representative of balance and the 4 elements. So that's pretty neat. The number 6, its meaning is harmony and family. The significance linked to harmony and balance. The number 6 is also associated with familial relationships and community. The number 7, spiritual perfection and completeness. It is considered a sacred and powerful number. It is associated with spiritual completeness. It often appears in biblical context and is seen as auspicious. The number 8, its meaning is prosperity and infinity. Infinity, there it is. The number 8 is linked to prosperity and infinity. It is seen as a symbol of abundance and cyclical nature of life. The number 9, its meaning is culmination, ending, and transition. It can signify the completion of a cycle, preparing for a new beginning. The number 11 is considered a master number in numerology. 11 is associated with spiritual insight and intuition. It is often seen as a connection to higher realms. The number 13 is controversial and transformation. While often considered unlucky in Western superstition, the number 13 can also represent transformation or change. In some contexts, it is associated with overcoming obstacles. Number 22, master builder or manifestation. Another manifestation number, 22, is associated with being a master builder and capable of turning dreams into reality through focused efforts. Well, that's neat. I've never actually heard of some of these. I mean, we've always heard of number 3 because that's the Trinity. But the rest of these I have never ever heard of. I know I've heard of number 13. Some people say that it's, 666 is the devil's number, but 13, I've heard it's a number that can't be divided and it's considered an unholy number. So who knows? Some of this is real confusing, but, it's neat. Now, this next time that we get into the omens, we're going to be talking about coin omens. So that's pretty neat. All right. So that's pretty cool. I've never really thought about using, numbers to tell anything. I mean, I've heard of like angel numbers and all that. I have no idea what any of that stuff means. That's kind of out of my realm there, but I've heard of all this stuff. But I was digging through this book again. Man, there is just some real interesting stuff in here. I'm not sure what we're going to be doing our next video on. That's kind of why I was digging through it. The one that's coming for this next Wednesday, that one's going to be, it's like a part 4 of our headless spirit of Keno, Kentucky, but it's not. It's involving Keno, but it's not about the headless spirit per se. It's about another incident that kind of happened and some, sort of the story behind, and some of it is even said to happen today. So you'll have to tune in for that. The garden, that's what 3 and 6 in the Bible is the devil's number. Yeah, you're right. 3 6s is the devil's number. 100% agree. So the next, like I said, this next video coming out is going to be called Hidden Secrets of Keno, Kentucky. That's what that one's called. And I'm going to be starting on something new. I have no idea yet. Looking for topics. Have a person possibly sending me one of their stories, somebody that I've never had in stories before. So that's going to be neat. Not sure what we're going to do yet, but we'll work on it. We got 2 weeks to get it done since we're a week ahead. So who knows? We'll get on that as soon as I can. And like I said, Miss Neasy, I don't know if you got to see it. This is my homemade butter mold. Made that by hand out in the shop. So I got the stuff in the refrigerator to make butter. I may actually do a short little video showing y'all how to do it. It's a whole lot of work. Just going to tell you that right now. Shaking a jar for nearly a half an hour will whoop you. I'll tell you that right now. But at the end of it, when you're sitting there eating that good old stuff over homemade waffles or toast or biscuits, man, it's worth it. So who knows? That may be what our next video's on, but I don't know. We'll see. But before I get into my next story, the wood from this bottom piece, you guys know that I make these signs like, behind me, I made that one. This was just a spare piece from that, and this other edge wood here, that's actually a piece of paneling out of somebody's house that trim or whatever. I got that years ago. I was just taking scrap pieces and putting something together. But I had a really neat opportunity that came up yesterday. There's a lady that I work with. You guys know that I make these signs. Usually it's, most of the time it's birthday, anniversary. 95% of the time it's actually baby showers, like a child's being born. I put the child's name on it and they give that to the mother. I usually do that a whole lot. That's like the main reason why I do it. But every once in a while, I've done it for housewarming. I have those actually in a couple of businesses. Let me see if I can find some of these. This one, just for example, at somebody's house number that hangs on the outside of their porch. This one is hanging in a, it's kind of hard to see. There's a building that was built in 1832 that was like a general store, but in the probably 40s, this man named Shorty, his father bought it and opened a restaurant. It was a general store / dairy bar kind of thing. And then Shorty bought it from his father in 1961. So I bought that, and they have it in the front window behind the register. And that's just kind of an example. This one, a friend of mine got a brand new house. They're moving in or whatever, and their last name is Hughes. So I made that for them, just to hang on in the house somewhere. And let's see. And the last one I'll show you, there is a consignment shop. Come on, it's not that bright. Jeez. If the camera will, there it is. It's called the Red Rooster. A little consignment shop. A lady opened it, and I made her that for behind her register. And a lady at work, her son, he's been going through a whole lot. He went through a bad time, got off into some drugs, got some trouble, and he went to rehab, got himself cleaned up, and now he's going to be a student at Auburn University. And she said, he's going to be down there with people he don't know, and he moved in his dorm, but she wanted something that, it would kind of make it home. She just wanted one of those with his name on it. And so I come home, I made him one with his name on it, and I gave it to her today, and it just made her day. She's like, I can't wait to show him that. And she was going to buy it, but I did not make her buy that because, somebody like him that's turned his life around and is going into a university like that, I'm like, this is a gift. And on the back of it, like Miss Nisi says, I hand wrote congratulations and then highlighted it and all that stuff. So we got the opportunity to bless somebody with that, and I love doing that. So we got to do that today, and just it made her day, and I'm sure it's gonna make his day. But I enjoy making those, and it costs me absolutely nothing. The piece of wood, if you guys know what a dog-eared fence posts are, like literally $2, and they're maybe a half inch thick or an inch thick by 6 inches wide, and they're like 6 feet long. So you can imagine how many I get out of one of those. I usually buy two. Like I said, it's just a couple bucks a piece. So if somebody buys one of the signs from me, I usually, take the money that they give me and restock. I got a whole board in that I'm not even cut yet. Uh, and here's something kind of strange, guys. The signs, to me, I don't just make them for anybody. I'm just going to tell you that now. I usually make them when I feel led to. You know what I mean? And the strange thing, when I make these signs, they come maybe one a month or every other month or something like that. But the way they work out with the size and the names and all that, I don't have much. Like the piece of scrap wood left is like that. So that tells me, that whole board was used up with no scrap. That to me, that's just a sign that each person that got a sign was supposed to get it. And that's just awesome. A whole 8-foot piece of wood with no scrap, literally a piece this big that it's just where the corners are at, that you can't use anyway. So that just lets me know that I was supposed to make those signs, and just to see the smile at a simple piece of wood with a little couple of screws and a rope makes it's neat. So, all right, so let me get off of here again, and this time we're going to be reading this creepy story of a person having a run-in with a strange creature called a knot deer. So let's sit back and just see where this goes. It says the moon was full tonight, yet the dense canopy choked its light. Streams of silver fought for every inch, peeking through the leaves. My footfalls echoed through the forest. The crunch of dried leaves and the snapping of twigs announced my presence. I wasn't lost, but I hadn't been found. I hadn't found what I was looking for. Earlier that day, I shot a deer. It felt wrong. That's the best way to explain it. Just wrong. I had no luck sitting in my stand for hours. Then it walked right out of the tree line. A huge buck. It strolled right to the center of the clearing, its head pivoting side to side and then up. It was looking straight at me. I took aim, lined up my crosshairs. A voice in the back of my head said, "Do not do it." Why? I thought to myself. "Just don't take the shot," the voice insisted. I lined up the crosshairs again. The deer's unblinking, glassy, dark black eyes stared at me. Why isn't it running? My chest tightened. I don't know, but don't do it. The voice persisted. I curled my finger around the trigger and began to squeeze. No! Do not shoot that deer, the voice screamed in my head. I knew I shouldn't have pulled the trigger, but I did. God, what I'm saying doesn't make any sense. But it's what I saw. It's what I did. I shot the deer and didn't budge. It didn't budge an inch. It took the bullet between the shoulder blades like a mosquito bite. It flickered its ears, licked its nose, turned its head, and just walked back to the gap between the trees, vanishing. I climbed down from the tree stand and approached the spot where I'd shot the deer. There was blood, but it wasn't right. The wound I'd made in that deer's chest was mere moments old, yet the blood on the ground was already clotted and dried, almost as if the deer had been dead for a long time. I followed the blood trail into the trees. The smell, my God, the smell. It was horrible, like the stench of swamp mud and rot. Something was off, but I had to track it. My dad had instilled strong hunting ethics in me. Know your gun, shoot only when certain, and always track down a wounded game. I can't explain why I felt the way I did. Watching it walk back into the woods made my stomach drop. But why? It wasn't a deer. It saw you. It took the bullet like a slap on the back. Then what was it? I don't know, but it was not a deer. The forest around me was alive with sounds of summer, the chirping of crickets, the hoot of an owl, frogs joining the chorus on cue. Everything was in motion. I followed the trail, refusing to give up for the night. I had to find it. Finally, the blood trail stopped at the base of a large tree. The blood had been heavy and consistent to this point. I scanned the area with my flashlight, but there was nothing. Where could it have gone? Hey there, brother. Good to see you. Thank you so much for coming in. And I enjoyed that post that you made the other day with your truck and that subscriber who pulled over and walked up to you. That's pretty cool. Let's see. Where could it have gone? Then something thick and sticky stuck to my forehead. I reached up and touched it, brought my finger to the light. Red. Blood. It shone my light up the tree, and there it was, halfway up the trunk. Blood further up on one of the branches. More of it. What the heck is that? That's not possible. I tried rationalizing that the deer had succumbed to its injuries and had been dragged up the tree by something. No, there wasn't enough blood for that. There were also no remains. How did the blood get up there in that tree? It must have been from another wounded animal, not the one I was tracking. Perhaps I got swapped on its trail instead. Nah, it couldn't be. I'd be tracking the same trail the whole time. The only explanation was that the deer, the thing I had shot, scaled the tree. Deer don't try to climb trees. So where is it now? I found I thought to myself, shining the flashlight to the treetops. There was nothing. Those branches were bare. No signs of life anywhere. Well, now what? I decided to make camp since the trail was dead and there was nothing left to track. I set up my tent and gathered some wood for a fire beneath the tree. I tried to get some rest, but sleep would not come. Let's see. I sure hate to hear that there. Flies on the coleslaw. Hate to hear that for sure. Hopefully, your families, they're all right, because I know it's sure enough hard. It was in the newspaper. Huh. Welcome in, Karen. Thank you so much. Let's see. I kept replaying the events from earlier. The more I thought about it, the less anything made sense, and the less some things made, the more threatened I felt. I sat up, stoked the fire, and grabbed my weapon. I was ready to fight. Maybe not win, but to fight. What are you doing? The voice in my head asked. I just want to be ready, I replied. Ready for what? I'm not sure, but it makes me feel much better. No, you know what? You should not have shot that deer. Sitting by the fire, I remained at the ready, constantly scanning the area, listening to every sound the forest threw at me. The night was loud. The forest was alive with creatures, all caught in a perpetual state of hunting or hiding. Then faintly, I heard a snapping sound. I turned, raised my weapon toward the void. The orange glow of the fire danced on the barrel, illuminating the clearing, but revealed nothing beyond. I decided not to use my flashlight. I wanted complete control of my weapon. Motionless, I sat listening. Nothing, just the crackling of the fire. Yeah, that's all it was, I told myself. Nothing there. I knew that wasn't true, but it was the only thing I could say to convince myself to lower my weapon. That night dragged on, and I survived, despite the occasional moth pelting itself at me. As dawn broke, the cool morning air tingled, tinged with a light blue, enveloped the forest. It was a welcome change from the heat that lay ahead. The thick fog had rolled in. I extinguished the remnants of the fire, packed my gear, and prepared to head to the pickup location where I had agreed to meet with a friend. They wouldn't be able to collect me for another day, but at least I'd be there and ready. I squatted down to retrieve my packed bag, slinging it over my shoulder in one swift motion. The swirling fog parted where the bag had lain, revealing something I hadn't noticed. Tracks. Not just any tracks. Deer tracks. Hundreds of them. Hoof prints struck deep into the damp soil, forming a perfect circle around my camp. This thing had circled me all night just beyond the light of the fire. But that couldn't be. I would have heard something. I mean, there were hundreds of tracks. Surely it would have made a noise at some point. Upon further inspection of the formation, I realized there were no tracks showing entry or exit. It was like the deer had materialized right beside the site, then vanished. Let's see. Welcome in, Sean. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Let's see. Forget this. I'm out of here, I muttered to myself as I began to the long track to the pickup location. However, I decided not to stop there. I'd hike down to the logging road to the mouth of the main dirt road that my buddy would drive up to get to the meetup spot. Honestly, I it wouldn't get me out of here any sooner. It was good to have a mission to work toward. Any amount of time shaved off in these woods was better than nothing. Welcome in, Daryl. Good to see you. Thank you for coming. Appreciate it. Most of the hike was uneventful. I was approaching well over halfway to the meeting spot when I decided it was time for a break. I rummaged in my bag for water and a protein bar. I was making great time. At this rate, a few more hours of hiking, I should be on the logging road, only half an hour hike from the main dirt road. Snap! A branch popped behind me. Lifting my weapon and swinging around to the sound of the noise in one fluid motion, I scanned the area. The forest was thick this time of year, so my view was limited. This thing could be mere feet away, and I wouldn't see it. The iron sights of my rifle glided across the forest. Then I stopped. I saw something. A big patch of brush. But something was off with it. At the top of a large bush, there were weird branches coming out. Oddly bare. No branches. Antlers. My hands tightened around my weapon as I pulled its buttstock tight against my shoulder. Tunnel vision kicked in. I saw nothing but the bush. Then I guessed where the head would be in relation to those antlers. I took aim and squeezed that trigger. The kick of the gun jolted me insides. A loud, thunderous bang ripped through the forest, followed by an acrid smell of burnt gunpowder. Welcome in, Ace. Appreciate it. Good to see you. Thank you so much. I didn't even flinch. No movement at all from this thing. The tips of its antlers were still visible, then exposed points slowly lowered down and out of sight into the bush. Everything was still, everything was quiet, everything was wrong. I grabbed my bag and began to run as fast as the force would let me toward the direction of the logging road. Tearing through the woods, between the snapping and whipping of vines and branches, I swear I heard something telling me, but I didn't care. I just wanted out, so I kept running. I burst through the thicket into open air. The resistance of the forest vanished, and toppling toward me onto the dusty red earth. The orange clouds surrounded me as I slid across the dirt road. I rolled over facing where I had existed in the tree line, chest heaving, waiting for that thing to rip through the foliage and jump on me. But as I sat on the road, gun up, nothing came out of the woods. It was still. I lifted myself from the dirt, brushed off my clothing, and gathered my bearings. I started down the dirt path, hiking a few minutes before a section of cleared forest came into view to the right of the path. It was an old logging site. Stumps jutted up like headstones in a tree graveyard. The clearing was littered with the tracks of trucks and the branches of past harvest, a wide open expanse of mangled wood and debris. I decided to set up camp here, thinking I could bear with it one more night. No trees meant there was no cover for that thing from my shots. Then morning would come. My buddy would come be my buddy would be there first thing to get me. After I set up camp, I quickly stacked a pile of firewood and stood guard as the sun dipped below the horizon. Night crept in from the forest around me. I could sense I wasn't alone. The feeling of had been lingering before dusk, but now it was closer and more persistent. The hours passed slowly. The wind was relentless, constantly threatening to snuff out the flames of the fire I had made. I kept shifting my position to shield the fire with my body, but it was barely alight. The darkness was thicker than the night before, with no moon or stars, only clouds blanketing the skies in the light. It was quieter tonight. There were no sounds of bugs or animals, just the rustling trees and the howling wind. Time dragged on with nothing happening. Dawn was just a couple hours away. I made it, I thought. Maybe I'm just losing my mind. Then I saw it, a silhouette approaching my camp. The fire cast a faint glow, but I couldn't make out any details. It looked like my buddy. Maybe he was ahead of schedule and drawn by the firelight. I stood up to greet him, but froze mid stride as the figure moved closer. The darkness around it melted away. It was not my buddy. It was not even a man. The legs were too skinny. The arms hung at odd angles. What looked like a long hair what looked like long hair rose from its shoulders in writhing lines above its head. As it stepped into the light, I saw it clearly, every horrifying detail. It was the deer, but not a deer, not at all. This thing continued walking straight toward me. It moved its hind legs like a man. The forearms, now drooping from its body, ended in claws instead of hooves. Its jaw hung loosely on its hinges, revealing rows upon rows of jagged, malformed teeth. Its antlers more resembled tentacles, whipping the air around it. Its eyes, no longer on the eye side of its head, had shifted to the center of its face, one atop the other. I raised my gun, took aim, then something from the sky hit my hand, then my cheek. It ran down my face and off my chin. The sky opened up and unleashed a downpour that extinguished my fire in seconds, plunging me into darkness. The last sight was this thing advancing on me. I fired my weapon into the dark. The flash from the discharge revealed nothing of its location, but I saw my flashlight on the ground to my left. I couldn't hear anything over the ringing of my ears from the shot. Even the beating of the rain was lost to me. Keeping my gun raised, I bent down with one arm outreached, feeling around for the flashlight until I touched the familiar smoothness of the plastic against the rough earth. I grabbed it, and as I did, I felt fur brush against my outreached arm. I swung the gun in direction and pulled the trigger. The recoil threw the gun from my hand. I felt something warm and sticky splash across my face. Clutching the flashlight, I dug my feet into the ground, pushed off into a sprint, clicked on the light, and picked a direction. The rain beating against my face, washing sweat into my eyes, making them sting. Each falling drop occurred, obscured the light, making it difficult to keep my footing. I ran and ran until I hit even ground, the light illuminating the muddy path of the dirt road. I continued down the path until I slid over in the mud. The flashlight bounced ahead of me, landing with its beam pointed back in my direction. I rolled over onto my back and saw a tall, shadowy figure running up the path toward me. Scrambling to my feet, I left the light where it lay and let my instincts guide me. I didn't stop running until my footsteps slapped against pavement. I had made it all the way to the main highway. The sun was beginning to rise. I walked along the roadside until I heard a familiar voice say, "Hey!" I stopped and turned to see my buddy, half hanging out of the window of his truck, concern and confusion on his face. "What the heck happened to you?" Hopping out of the driver's side, I paused and just stared at him, unsure how to explain. How could anyone understand? I finally said the only thing that makes any sense. I shot a deer. Even when you're following all the rules and best practices, the woods can still play tricks on you. And remember, a good friend with a truck is worth its weight in gold, especially when you're being chased by something you cannot explain. Now, that's got to be one of the daggum strangest and scariest stories I've ever heard. I mean, I know when you go deer hunting, you're just putting food on the table. But something like that, I don't even know how to even start. I mean, it sounds like he shot this thing 5 different times. So you think it would die, but I guess not. The knot deer is just a super creepy creature anyway, and it's almost, I'm not even sure what it is. And I want to say it's like some sort of evil spirit of some kind, like an ancient spirit that's taken the form of a deer, but it's not a good spirit. So who knows? Just strange. I know that for sure. But I seen Miss Karen's making sauerkraut. That's awesome. Just got to make sure, whatever you do, that your cabbage is covered all the way. Any of that, the cabbage that's above the water will discolor, but it's still good. It'll just turn a little darker, and it'll turn your jar darker than the rest of it. But it's just perfectly fine. It doesn't look good, but it sure enough tastes good. So I was able to give a jar of that away to a friend of my dad's the other day that I made. But wow, that was just a crazy story. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that story and the learning some of the omens. Those omens about numbers, that just kind of blew my mind. So just a reminder, if you guys didn't watch the video yesterday, it's live now. We picked some okra live and talked about, kind of saving seed for next year. And I made a little more progress over the last 2 days. In that video, you can see the rows of corn stalks. Well, those rows of corn stalks are gone now. And I got the whole area. I pulled them up, hauled them to the burn pile, which that whole first one was I've heard this trick. If you can find something that'll fit down in the end, inside the jar, like something flat, and then put something on top, it'll help hold that down. But either way, it's all good. If you don't like the way that the discolored part looks, you can literally scrape that off and throw it in the trash. It's just that easy. The rest of it's fine. But see, I started on gathering corn. I guess it was Monday. Saturday and Sunday, I just took off because I was beat. And Monday, I got off of work, come home, changed clothes, got over at Dad's, pulled up maybe a quarter of the row of the 4 rows of corn. And while I was doing that, he had a pile of how limbs fall out of the tree and stuff. He had a huge pile of that. So I lit it on fire. He still had some corn husk out in the front yard where we had shucked the corn and canned it and all that. So I threw it on the fire to get it going. And while that fire was going, I just kept pulling and armload by armload, I hauled that corn stalks over and threw them on the fire. But I kept watching off out, I guess it's toward the north there. Sky was clear, super sunny. It was hot. And then I seen a cloud pop up. And out of the wind blows from the north to the south, and there's the mountain there. Well, when that mountain hits, it usually spins up bad weather. Well, while I'm sitting here looking, the next thing I know, that one cloud overtake, like it just looks like an explosion. It's just like whoosh, clouds everywhere. Sky gets dark, I just keep on. Like heavy winds start blowing, and uh, I'm just like, well, I got to keep going. So I kept going until the wind started blowing me so bad I kept like almost getting blown over with these armloads of corn stalks. So I finally quit. Uh, I had picked a mess of the okra and come home and fried it. I wanted that for supper, but man, I had to stay in the house, let the daggum storm pass before I could even get home. Let's see. Everybody's good. Yeah, Hope's enjoying school. I think she got bored sitting here, so she's back at her old routine, I guess you'd say, starting 7th grade, which is insane. But so needless to say, Tuesday the garden was way too wet to be in. So Wednesday, I got up super early. Went over at Dad's house. He has a really old trailer that you hook behind a lawnmower. I got over there looking at it, and it had like flat tires on it, but flat tires still roll. So I just hooked that thing up to the lawnmower, pulled it down the row, and started filling the trailer up, and then pulled it over to the pile and just started chunking it in there. So we got that done Wednesday morning. I had to stop at noon because Autumn had to go to the doctor and get her medicines refilled. So we did that. Took her to the doctor, and then I come back and used his lawnmower and mowed the grass and all that stuff that was left in the rows. Yes, we are, Karen. We have to homeschool Hope because of her medical issues. I don't trust sending her to no school. So, but yes, Hope is homeschooled. But either way, so got that done yesterday, and then today, me and Autumn both had eye doctor appointments, so I couldn't go over there first thing. But when we got back, went over there and I fired up the garden tiller, and I got half that spot done. It was just so hot today, and I was worn out. So I think it's like 8 rows wide. I did 4 of them today. Tomorrow, of course, another thing is I was running out of gas, but I quit tilling, went and took a shower at Dad's, loaded up all the okra that we had picked because the nurses at the doctor's office wanted some okra. So me and Hope and Dad picked okra by the light of a cell phone last night because it was cool. Got all that picked. I took it to them today when we got back from our eye doctor appointment, and I took off about 3 days. I was so tired that tomorrow after I get off of work, I'll try to finish up. And I wish I made a post yesterday. I wanted to show y'all. Well, hi, AD. Good to see you, brother. Hopefully you're having a good one. Yesterday morning, I got up, didn't even eat breakfast. I went over and just started working in the cool. And I decided that I was getting hungry, so I hunted in the garden for something for breakfast. So I actually found some ripe tomatoes and some cucumbers, and then I got to looking at the cantaloupes. I was eating the right cantaloupe. So this year, or today, yesterday or today, we got to eat sliced tomatoes and sliced cucumbers and cut up cantaloupe. And it was so good. So we got to enjoy that, and this is weird breakfast, but it sure enough was good, and it was right out of the garden. And that cantaloupe was so juicy, just the juice was running down my arm as I was cutting it up. So I woke Dad up. I was like, "Here, try some of this cantaloupe." So he was eating cantaloupe with me. So, and congratulations, purple peppers. That's awesome. But anyway, guys, I appreciate y'all. Sorry for keeping you an hour, but This story was longer than I expected, and showing y'all things like this homemade butter mold and telling the stories and everything that's been going on. So, uh, we here lately we've been doing fried green tomatoes one day and fried okra another day, and then we're just swapping back and forth. So, either way, I appreciate y'all coming out. Hopefully, y'all enjoyed it. Hopefully, y'all enjoyed the upcoming weekend. It's actually going to be my Monday tomorrow because I work all weekend. But hopefully, y'all enjoy the rest of y'all day, all y'all's weekend. I appreciate y'all coming out. Y'all remember, let's see, who was it? Where did you go? Flies on the Coleslaw had that family member pass away. So, y'all remember them. And then my aunt or my cousin, y'all remember her too. Her and her husband's probably been married 20 years or so, but I think he was 46 years old. So he's somewhere around that. But she went to check on him in his sleep last night, and she found him dead. He didn't have any health problems at all. So we don't know what happened. I think the way she sounded like, to me, it almost sounded like it was an undiagnosed sleep apnea issue. But I don't know. We'll find out more. Just y'all remember them in your prayers. It's hard losing somebody, especially your spouse, or father. They have a 13-year-old boy that's Hope's age. So just keep them in your prayers as well as Flies in the Coleslaw and his family. So with that, we'll see y'all next week. Uh, Appreciate y'all coming out, and we'll see y'all next time. Bye, everybody. Thank you so much.